But I am very excited to introduce our speaker today, Ms. Rhonda. You know, it's interesting because I think our first go-to is always, well, I'm going to write, I'll just open Word and just start writing because I always use Word. I use Word all day long. But there are things about Microsoft Word that we don't know or that can be great tools for us. And so Rhonda's going to help us wrangle some of those. And so I'm going to turn that over to Rhonda. It's about 10 after 11. So, you know, you've got about, 45 minutes or so with questions. So
great. Great. And we're going to do that. First of all, I'm going to share with you, though, my good news. I am in Listen to Your Dreams. It's the newest Chicken Soups for the Soul book. It was released August 11th. I have the neatest story to tell you. It won't take me 30 seconds. When Jana was a girl, my daughter, well, first of all, the story is about a dream the Lord gave me. Before we ever went to Romania to adopt her, the Lord gave me a dream, and I've described that dream in here and how it was specifically fulfilled. Well, when Jana was little, across the street, yard from us was a household with 3 little boys. And they were always, Jana played with these 3 little boys all the time. Well, I got an email from the mother of that crew. One of them is in prison. And I did not know he was in prison. His mother, knowing that I had a story in this book, bought the book and sent it to him in prison. And when he read my story, he says, you know, reading that story just made me remember a lot of things about God. So you can pray for him. His name is Adam. And now I have his address and I can start writing to him in prison. But you never know, ladies, how something will impact someone. I haven't thought about Adam in years. We moved away 15 years ago. I had no idea where he was in his life. But you never know when the Lord may use something you write to make a difference in someone's life, especially those of us who are believers. So, we just need to keep plugging away. And I just needed to share that story with you, hopefully encourage you. There's a reason and a purpose for the message that God has put in our hearts. And even if we're writing fiction, underneath it are problems that people face, real problems that people in real life face the same issues. And I've been reminded of that as I've been doing my own writing, how important it is to keep the focus in the right place. Writing my book is not about me. Writing my book is about the reader and what I hope God will say to them as they read what I've written. Well, you may have noticed I'm wearing a hat. I don't normally wear a hat on Saturdays online when people are taking my picture. I told Janet and Crystal I'm channeling my inner Greg Bridgman, with the hat. But I have worn this hat today because of the title and the subject we're looking at. It's called Microsoft Word for Writing Wranglers. How many of you have ever wrangled Word? Just raise your hand. In other words, you're riding along just fine. All of a sudden, like a bronco, it starts bucking, and the next thing you know, you're sitting in a pile of manure. Any of you ever been there? I've been there. Okay. Well, I'm going to hopefully share with you today some tips about Microsoft Word, especially tailored for writers. Things that you can do to make wrangling that bucking bronco just a little bit easier. So I'm going to share my screen. If you have questions, type them in the chat. And what I will say is I'm going to share my PowerPoint, and then when you get to the end, if you've got a problem that's driving you crazy with a word, I want you to let me know, and we'll work through and see if we can solve it together. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and you folks just tell me if you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, give me this. Yeah, can you see my screen? All right, great. And Microsoft Word for Writing Wranglers. Now, I want you all to stay awake, especially the gal who said she had a headache, Miss Karen. This is for you. This is going to be a lot of fun today. If we can't have fun online, why do this? Let's have some fun. So whenever you see this little fella, come in, I want you to unmute your microphone and say with me, yeehaw! Okay? Can you do that this morning? I'll count 1, 2, 3. Everybody unmute. 1, 2, 3.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Wow.
All right. Well, we're going to wrangle those riders. And yes, I can Photoshop. That is me on a bucking bronco. Never done that in my life, except virtually online. All right, here we go. Let's tame this bronc. Now, Microsoft Word is your partner. You cannot get to the pokey if you cannot ride the horse, right? And Microsoft Word is the industry standard for writers. If you can't format a beautiful document, you're going to have trouble. If you know what you're doing on Microsoft Word, you can avoid, how many of you spent 20 minutes or more trying to figure out a problem on Microsoft Word? You just lose your whole productivity, you lose your train of thought, and you're trying to say, where did that line come from? Why won't that paragraph move? I mean, you've got all these problems. I'm going to help you know how to customize Word for your use, and it should save you lots of time. And if you send in a beautiful manuscript, how many of you know this is what an editor looks like, right? Sitting mounds of manuscripts, their email boxes stuffed full of people. When they open your document, in order to get anywhere in this business, it has to look professionally formatted. And if you have made simple formatting mistakes, and I'm going to talk in a minute about formatting correctly for submissions, you know, trash bin, that's just where you go, right off into the manure pile, right? So we don't want that to happen. We want our manuscripts to stand out to agents and editors as being not only well written, but beautifully formatted. I wonder how many books never made it to publication. The content was great, but the formatting stunk, really. Let's just be honest. So we're going to talk today about formatting. So first of all, I want to say to you, invest in a licensed copy of Microsoft Word. Don't go out and buy Open Office. Don't go out and try to use it. This program is just like Word. I will tell you, I had a couple in the office. The reason I learned so much about Microsoft Word is because I was a troubleshooter. I was a sheriff in town. If Microsoft was not working, call Rhonda, right? And I didn't know how to fix things, but I know how to spell Google. So I'm online learning all these tips and tricks because somebody got in trouble. And most of the time, the couple who got in trouble were not using Word. They were using one of those free programs. How many of you know that free sometimes ain't free? It'll cost you somewhere down the line, even though if they say it's free. So invest in a licensed copy of Microsoft Word. Word is the industry standard, and those free programs, they will buck. They will buck you right off, and you will not know what happened. And worse than that, if you send in a document created in one of those free programs, it may buck off your editor. And how many of you know you don't want the editor to land in the manure pile, okay? So I also do not recommend Office 365, their version of Word. If you don't know what this is, it's a subscription service. It comes installed already on most computers, and I guarantee you, Karen Richardson, it's already there on your computer, because I got a new computer last week. It's a big horse. And there it is, you know, subscribe online, and it looks easy, it's already installed, it's relatively cheap. But here are some limitations. First of all, it is designed and written to be used in conjunction with the cloud and cloud storage. It is meant to operate best when you have an internet connection. Well, if you go to the lake house to write and the internet connection is not good or is not stable, you may not be able to access some of your documents. This happened to me just before a writer's conference. I wanted to download my document. It was on the cloud, and Betty, there was a thunderstorm. I could not get to that document, and I figured out later it's because it was on a little laptop I had taken with me to the conference. It would not connect because I did not have a fast enough internet connection. So I do not recommend Office 365. My best recommendation, go out and do what I did. I have a brand new computer. I needed a new version of Word. I shopped online. I did not get the most recent version of Word, but I got a version I could download for $59. Now that is actually cheaper than the annual subscription for Word. So I just suggest go out, buy Microsoft Office, especially those of you that do any speaking, get the Office Professional that includes PowerPoint, and you can be ahead of the game as far as having a great version of Word. If you have any questions about this or where to find it or whatever, especially when we stop recording, I'll share with you the resource I found where I found a great price. And it all worked, and I was like, yeehaw, okay. So I want you, though, to customize your work environment. So how many of you have an office and you have arranged everything just so you know where everything is and everything is optimized? Yeah, I see Peggy. She, okay. So sometimes we're organized, sometimes we're not, but it pays to organize Word and to optimize it with features enabled that will help you with Word. The first thing I want you to do is customize your tool ribbon. And then one of the reasons I'm sharing my screen is because I want to show you, I'm going to open up a document and show you exactly how you do this. Most of you are like, tool ribbon. I'm not sure what the tool ribbon is. I'm going to show you. But we want to organize the display. We want to talk about saving options, and we want to choose a default location where it saves to. Now, I have a blank document here. Can you all see that? Yes, I can see Peggy, Karen, and Blondie. Okay, so you see this here? I don't know if what you call this guy that goes across the top, but this is your tool ribbon. Now, guess what? If you click this little arrow right here, it disappears. And you're like, oh, now what? Okay, if I click again up here, let me see if I can get it. I have to go actually into view and pin it again. All right. So if you don't have that ribbon pinned to open with all those commands, please do that. You'll have your hard time. Because see what happens when it goes up here is this little guy, he comes, he goes, he hides. What? Uh-oh, I don't have any commands. Bring it out here, pin it. All right. This is the tool ribbon. Now, how many of you know what a right mouse click is? If you don't know what a right mouse click is, instead of clicking with your index finger, you click with your middle finger, okay? I love right click. If you've not been acquainted with right click on your mouse, you are missing a world of opportunities, okay? The wild, wild west is out there if you have not learned how to right click. So I'm going over here, you see my mouse, I'm going over here, I'm going to right click on this blank space on the toolbar, and up comes a little button. It says customize the ribbon. Okay, I'm going to customize my ribbon, and it brings me up what I'm going to call a dialog box. In other words, talk to me. Okay, I'm going to talk to Word here on display. First of all, here's general options. Okay, those are usually very general. If you don't have your username in there, this is where you can put in your username. So your documents and your comments and things that you make show up with your name, this is where you would do that. But I want to show you the display. One of the problems that people often have is why do my page margin, you know, I set a 1-inch margin, but my text goes all the way to this line and then I'm on to the next page. The reason is because they do not have this box checked that says show white space between pages in print layout view. Now, I always work in print layout view. People may like other views, but I want to see on my screen what the editor is going to see when they open my document. All right. So I always work in print layout view. And I want it to show that white space between pages. Otherwise, you completely lose your margin. So, excuse me. Ooh, that's old water. Blech. Somebody bring me some sarsaparilla. All right. So then over here on the options, I want you to look at the save options. I have my documents saved to auto recover every 5 minutes. Ladies, if you do not have these things checked on, you will be crying in your sarsaparilla by the end of the day, because how many of you have had a power outage or something happens and all of a sudden all the work you've done is gone? Word will automatically recover and open up your most recent document. If you have saved it, did this auto save, auto recover. If it is set for 30 minutes, you'll lose 30 minutes of work. And I don't know about you, but in 30 minutes, I get a lot done. I've set mine to save every 5 minutes. You can set it anywhere you want to. And you want it to keep the last auto recovered version if you close without saving. How many of you close without saving? Sometimes you do it on purpose, right? If you've really messed it up and you want to go back. Sometimes it's just because the power went boom, right? And you didn't have a chance to save your last version. You want that check mark on. Keep the last auto recovered version if you close without saving. Auto recover file location, you don't need to worry about that. But you want to talk about your default local file location. Now, if you have Microsoft Office 365, it's going to save you automatically to the cloud. And I hated that. I want my documents, I'm possessive. I want my documents on my computer where I can control them. And I'm a little bit of a freak in that I don't want anybody's, in some foreign nation open my documents. So I'm just a little protective of what I have online. I have chosen a default, it's in documents. So when I click save, it opens that particular file on my computer, and then I can go from there where I save it. So there's a browse here, little browse button. If you don't know where your documents are being saved, it's no good to save it if you don't know where it is, right? So tell your computer where your documents are supposed to be saved. And I will just tell you, for my own use, I make a separate folder under documents. I have a folder that says writing, because a lot of what I do on my computer is not my writing. And then under writing, I have a folder for every project. All my research, all my pictures, anything I've written, all my versions, my old versions, all of that is saved in that folder with that name on it. So I don't have to go hunting. If I want something related to that project, it is in that file, and it becomes my default location, default file location for me is my documents, even if it's pictures. How many of you are type A enough that you put documents in one place and pictures in the documents in the documents, pictures in the pictures? You don't have to be that rigid. I put pictures in my documents files if they're related to my documents, okay? So that's what I'm talking about there. All right, and then you click OK, and those options come up. So we've talked about display, autosave, and our default location. And say yeehaw if you loved that idea. 1, 2, 3.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Some of you, that was a little weak. All right, mute yourselves back. So let's move on. We're going to continue to customize our work environment. Here on proofing, remember how I did this. I open my document, right click on the tool ribbon, customize the ribbon. We talked about display, we talked about save. I want to look in here at proofing. Okay, in the proofing, you can choose how it corrects. I love the autocorrect feature, but sometimes it gets me in trouble. Okay, this is where you can turn it on or turn it off. But I want you, and I love the spell check, the grammar check. I leave those enabled in my documents. And ladies, if you have this on, don't ever submit a document with a word that's underlined in red unless you know why. You know why? It's probably misspelled. It might be the wrong usage, and sometimes my grammar is a little better than Word, or I use unusual grammar, especially in fiction, right? So I can ignore that. But those spell check and grammar checks, if you send in a document to an editor, that word, if it shows up red for your screen, is going to show up red for theirs. All right? So I want my documents clean. I either tell it, yeah, I like that, or ignore that. All right? So I want you to see this. It says, when correcting spelling and grammar, check my spelling as I type. That's a good thing. It won't catch homonyms. You better know your homonyms anyway, because this will not catch a misspelled word if you've used the wrong homonym. Mark grammar errors, frequently confused words, check grammar and spelling. Okay, here, and by the way, I have not customized my own version of this yet. I told you I have a brand new thing. I'm going to check on this thing called readability statistics, because what Word will show me is what grade level I'm writing at. Some of you write for children. How many of you know Hemingway's book The Sun Also Rises is written at a 7th grade word level. Okay, so if you're like me and you like those big 75-cent words, and you're going to get knocked down in your readability statistics. And that is a really important one. I want to know what grade level I'm writing on. I aim for 7th grade because I am writing for adults. If you're writing YA, you might want to actually go younger than that. If you're writing for children, you want this. So I want it to show me these readability statistics. And if we have time, I'll show you where you can look at those in your document. So, okay, that's the proofing. So spelling, grammar, readability enabled. Now, there is an advanced section. And when we're done with this, y'all are going to want to lasso your Bronco and do this. I'm telling you. I'm right-click on the toolbar, customize the ribbon. See this tab that says advanced. Most of us would skip it because we're like, I don't know what any of that stuff is, but I'm going to show you something that is really important to you, and I'm going to tell you why. Most of this is just fine. Editing options, I'm fine with those. But if I move down here, see this cut, copy, and paste? How many of you have ever gone out, if you're like me, you do research, you find a great quote, highlight, copy, you bring it into your document, you click paste, and oh my goodness, the font is wrong, the size is wrong, the spacing is wrong. Not only that, it will change the formatting of what you've already done. And then you want to quit writing and just go to the saloon. I'm telling you, that's what you want to do. All right, I'm going to show you with one click how you can keep that from ever happening to you again. Where it says pasting within the same document, it says keep source formatting. That's good. If I paste from one place to another in my document, I want it to keep the formatting. Pasting between documents. See where it says keep source formatting? Oh, so if I have a document that I wrote in Calibri 16 and I try to bring it into my Times New Roman 12, I don't want it to keep the same source formatting. I click this down arrow and I will say keep text only. Then what it does, it brings the text in, and when I paste, it pastes it in the font, paragraph, and all the settings that I've already chosen. So pasting between document, when the style definitions conflict, use the destination style. In other words, we're talking about a trip. Where it starts, we may not know, but when it ends up, we want it to end up with our destination style. Here's where you will just love me. You will all want to come to Wilmore and give me a smooch. Pasting from other programs. Keep text only. There are other options here. The default is keep the source formatting. That's why, however they formatted it online, is the formatting it will bring in and just put manure on your document. Okay, that's the nicest way I can say it. So change that one also to keep text only. That way, if you paste, if you found a great quote or something, and let me tell you, a lot of these tips work across programs. I have set up my PowerPoint settings just the same way because I want it to keep that destination setting. So there you go. You can email me and say thank you, thank you, thank you, because you are going to really appreciate that tip. So let me come back out here. Cut, copy, and paste selection should always be keep text only. There's really no other reason to have it any other way, because you will still have an option in your document if you want it to keep that special font or whatever. All right, so let's move on. Oh, and you can send me a Stetson in the mail for that little tip. I will always take a new Stetson. All right, so we're still customizing our work environment. Let me go back to my document here, close out this dialog box. And now we're going to talk about the view settings, okay? So we're talking about our view options. On the view tab, we want to select print layout. Like I already said, I want to look and see what the editor is going to see. And remember, it is possible you can open documents side by side. Some of you may be comparing a new version of what you've written to the old version, and you're like, what did I say here? Because I want back what I deleted out. You know, I always, when I'm going to, I keep several versions of every document. I open the most recent one, and if like, wait a minute, I thought I said that better in a previous version, I save the old versions. So when I get up and I know I'm going to do a bunch of editing, I save it with a new file name so that I always have a record of what I've done in my previous session. So if I want to go back and say, you know, I changed that all around, I can't possibly get back and get rid of all those changes I did because they're terrible, you can always open a version of your old document. You can put them up side by side. That's why it's called Windows. And girls, if you work on a Mac, I'm so sorry. You ain't even in the US. You were off in India or somewhere, because I don't know anything about Macs. I'm talking about the Windows PC environment. And often I will open two documents at the same time, put them side by side. And especially if I'm cutting and pasting back and forth, it really helps me if I have set those cut and paste controls on my ribbon. All right. So on the View tab here, this is the View tab. This where it says File, Home, Insert, Design, Layout, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about the View tab. And you see I have Print Layout checked as my thing. Now, if you want to move vertical, you want to move side by side, I mean, you want your zoom. If you have trouble seeing your computer screen, you can zoom your document up. I usually work at 100% because I have a giant monitor, a giant brand new horse of a monitor. It's a thoroughbred, man. So these are all those settings here. I wish I had time to teach you about macros. Maybe if you like this, I have an advanced class that will show you some things that would really help you in your editing as well. But we're going to move on. So we're going to customize now our status bar at the bottom left of the window. We're going to let it show our page number and show our word count. How many of you know word counts matter? When you're writing, word counts matter. And sometimes that default is already set up. I'm way down here at the bottom left of my screen. I don't know. Can you still see that when I'm way down there? Okay. This is what is called your status bar. And again, how do you think you would get in there? Right click. Okay. There's other ways in, but right click is easiest. I'm going to right click on that bar and look, up comes this dialog box. And so I want this status bar down at the bottom to say page number. So I know what page I'm on and how many pages I've written, okay? I want it to show me word count. See the little check mark? If I check it off, you look down there, word count disappeared. All right, check it on, there it is again. Now this is a blank document, so there's no words. If I would rather it count characters, I can do that. I want spelling and grammar check on, language label, signatures. You know, I leave the defaults, but I want to be sure that you have clicked on very easy tools, page number and word count, because those are important to us as writers. All right, so you want to show the page number, word count. So now we've got our tool ribbon customized, we've got our status bar customized. Now I want you to customize your quick access toolbar. How many of you know in this day and age, we want things to happen fast? Well, yeah, yes we do. So we want our options that we can get to them real fast. You know, quick draw is save options, undo, and redo. All right, those three options, I want them, when I want them fast. Well, they're on your quick access toolbar. Now, you can see it right here in the top left of my screen. And there's a little, anytime in Word you see a little down arrow, that means that's where you click for options. If you're like, well, I want to do something with my paragraph, but the command I want isn't in the paragraph box. Okay, click the down arrow. All right, so I click this down arrow and it lets me customize this quick access toolbar. Now, if you want to quickly open a new document or open something, you can click those on. I have other ways of doing that, but you definitely want save, you definitely want undo, and you definitely want redo. All right, those things you most definitely want enabled, and mine are. So here's save, and here's undo. Okay, and here's the redo. All right. So you want those 3 there on your quick access toolbar. Now, ladies, I know we're going quickly, but I also know that we are recording this. So I hope if there's a particular feature that you're really interested in, that you can watch back the recording and stop the recording and do these things with your Word program opened. That's what I really suggest you do. All right. So we're customizing our work environment. Now we're going to talk about, what do I do? All right, I've got everything all set up. How do I format my document? You know, some writers don't even know you need to change from the default font in Word, which I don't know how everybody else calls it, but I call it King Calibri. C-A-L-I-B-R-I. However you want to say it, it's a curse word in my environment, okay? Because I hated, especially when I started out, before I learned this trick, having to reset that font and set it all to double spacing every time I open a document. Oh, it's just time wasted. And when all the synapses are firing, you know, I don't want to be worried resetting my font. That's just dumb. So what I do is I keep a writer's template. And I'm going to open my writer's template here for you real quick. We're going to close this guy. Don't save it. And bye. All right. Now I want to bring up this other document here. And this is my template. Now it has some special features. And I want you to be very jealous before I tell you some good news, because I have some good news coming. I have formatted my template so there is no page number or header on the first page. So when the editor opens that up, it's like, whoa, this gal knows how to get rid of that header on the front page and to start the page numbering in the manuscript with page 1. Because guess what happens? If you don't do that, your manuscript begins with page 2. I'm so type A, I hate that. All right. So I have formatted, and it's too complicated to show you how, but I have formatted this document so that my cover page is right here. It has the title, by, author name, my genre, okay, and my word count right here on the top. Then down here in the bottom left, it has my name, address, phone number, email address. That's all that's right there on the cover page. Okay, very professionally done. Ladies, don't put cutie pie pictures. Don't put scrolled page dividers. No, just the facts, ma'am. All right, we're in the Wild West. Just the facts, ma'am. That's all we need. We don't need any birdies because they just get in my way if I'm an editor reading your manuscript. So let me come out here. My margins are 1 inch all around. This is standard, industry standard. The font, Times New Roman 12 point. If you send your manuscript to an editor in any other font, I almost guarantee you it's hitting the trash pile, okay? Because it marks you as an amateur. And you know, you want to be a professional gunslinger. You don't want to be an amateur, right? So use Times New Roman 12-point size. So you put your title of the work, by, you put your author name, genre, word count, and optional, if you can do it, if you can manage it, no header on the title page. So that's what I've got here. And you see how very simple it looks, very, very clean. Then we're going to move, I'm going to move to page 2 of my template. And let's talk about what's there. You want a header on your second page, not on the first page. And you want it to be Times New Roman 10 point. Okay, it's just a little bit smaller. And actually, as I'm looking at that, I have a pretty sharp eye. I think that I've got 12 point there. Doesn't really matter, but you can go down to 12 point, to 10 point if you want. You want the name of your title of your work flush left. You want the page number flush right. Folks, don't put your page number anywhere else. Don't make it alternate left and right. Don't put it in the footer. Don't center it at the bottom of the page. If you want your manuscript to look professional, top right, centered, or I'm sorry, right justified, laying right there on that 1-inch margin. That's where this page number is. So you would type in your name. Now, do you know how to get into your header? Right now, I don't know if you can see, but it's gray. Double click. It's just so easy. Double click, and I can get in here, and I can put my name here, right? And I can put, now, then I save this. If I'm gonna amend this template, a template doesn't work if you customize it to a project and then you save it again. No. Keep your template like just pristine and no changes at all. Open from the template to start a new project. And the first thing you do when you open it is rename it so it does not corrupt your template, all right? And then I'll put the title of my book, all right. So now I come down in here, and how do I get back in the main thing again? Double click, and there I am back in the main part of the document. If you don't know how to use headers and footers, you can use a lot of time. All right, so then here we go. We want our manuscript chapter number to be 3 inches from the top of the margin. Now, ladies, one of you can unmute if you know the answer. Do you see any measurements on this page? No, they're not there. So do you know how to get the rulers? View, click on ruler, and there's my rulers, okay? So you need to know how far you are from the top of the page. So you will see my chapter number here is, actually that one's a little bit high. It's supposed to be 3 inches from the top of the paper, 2 inches from the 1-inch margin, all right? That's where your chapter number belongs. And I usually type in here, chapter 1. Actually, if I can spell chapter, I can't talk and type at the same time. Chapter 1 and the title of the chapter if you're using titles, all right? That's what goes on when you're starting your chapter. So 3 inches from the top of the page, I actually should correct that. Everything's double spaced, gals. Do not send, there is one thing that is single spaced. Does anybody know what it is? Unmute yourself and say what it is. Single spaced.
Your name and address.
Name and address. Actually, you just made me say 2 things. What else is single spaced?
Synopsis.
Your synopsis is single spaced. Okay, everything else is double spaced. So you want your chapter number in caps, the title in upper and lower case. All right. Now, first paragraph of your manuscript. Here I'm going to go down, and now I need to change. I need to come back here, and I need to go to the left margin, or you can just click this guy here. Okay, it's a lot faster just to do this, and I'm going to say this is my first paragraph. It used to be that all of the paragraphs were indented by 1/2 inch. I found out about 18 months ago that's not true. So if you leave the first paragraph of your chapter with its left justified, then you're ahead of the game. That's going to really mark you as a professional. So now I'm going to do what I do when I try to do this fast. There I go. Okay, now I need to put a space in here. So, you know, you didn't know I was that fast, did you? All right. Now, if I'm going to hit enter because I want my new paragraph, guess where it is? It's still left justified. How many of you, don't raise your hand, how many of you would tab? Tab. And this is my second paragraph. You have just, if you did that, you have just made a mistake that drives editors nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. I can tell you this because I also do typesetting, and I have typeset books for publishing houses before. And what happens is it imports that tab into your document and it throws things completely off. If there is a view here called, you see this little paragraph symbol right here? If you turn that on, you will see you have an arrow. That's how I know, and actually this is the way a lot of editors read it. That's how I know this author put in tabs to indent paragraphs. There's a different way to do it. So I'm going to turn this off for a minute. I'm going to go here. I'm going to backspace to take out that tab, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm on the home tab, paragraph dialog box. See this little down arrow? I'm going to click it, and it brings me up the paragraph dialog box. I am going to tell it here on indentions in the special, to indent the first line by 1/2 inch. And I say, okay. Do you see what happened to my paragraph? Okay, so we're going along here. We're typing. There's my second paragraph. When I hit enter and I go to my next paragraph, ta-da! And it will do that all the way through the document. All right? Please do that. If you don't do anything else I told you today, please, please do this. It will save you and help you to look like a professional. All right? Now I'm going to speed up here because we've got a little, we're running out of time. So the second paragraph is indented 1/2 inch. Do not tab. Do not tab. The only other time to ever use a tab is if you're inside of a table, and most of us don't use tables in our writing, okay? So that's a great tip. Everybody say, yeehaw. I'm listening.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! That is a really important tip to know how to indent. So I'm going to just quickly go through this. You want all your text left justified. Please don't do that thing that forces the justified margins down the side. No, no. That just, again, marks you as somebody who's trying too hard, okay? All of those format choices in your book, you're like, but I want my book to be, you know, I like those neat. Okay, that's the typesetter's job. You are not the typesetter. You are the author. You are the writer. Right, left, justified. Turn off the hyphen control, and I'm going to show you how to do this. It is here in the paragraph box. Now wait a minute, I'm wrong. It might be, I should have checked to see where that is. I want to say that it is somewhere here. Anyway, I tell you what, you can email me if you really don't know where it is. But there, you should be able to find the turn off the automatic hyphenation, because sometimes it really gets you in trouble. If I want a hyphen at the end in something, you can get in trouble that way. So turn off the hyphen control. Use the widow and orphan control. You know what a widow is? Don't ever send a manuscript that's got one line of text at the bottom and nothing else in a paragraph, or one line of text at the top, unless it is a new paragraph and it's dialogue, okay? Then that's fine. But if your paragraph has more than one line, you don't want one line on the bottom of one page and one line on the next page. So don't use enter to force your text to a next page. I want you to insert a page break. So now I'm going to artificially do something here on my document. Move this on down. We're going to pretend there's text before this. All right, and here we go. And oh, and I want this is my third paragraph. I want that on the next page. How many of you would just put your cursor there and hit enter? Right, there it goes to the next page. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. Because again, when your typesetter pulls it in, and imagine if you've got 90,000 words, that's a lot of, I've done it, ladies. I've gone through an entire manuscript, 50,000 words, and had to pull out all the extra tabs before I could start typesetting. It's a lot of extra work, and for your publisher, it's a lot of extra money. All right. So instead of doing that, well, here I'm going to bring it back by just using my backspace, Okay, and it's not going to let me have my, okay. If I want this word on the next page, woo, I am going to come to the Insert tab. In the Pages command, I'm going to insert a page break. Did you see that? It inserted a page break. If I turn on my paragraph control, you will see this line. It says page break. Now, let me tell you something. If you've got something on another page, and it will not let you type in the bottom of your page, and you've got 3 inches down there, and for no reason will it let you type in there. How many of you has that ever happened to? That happened to me a lot. Before I figured it out, I can tell you there's a page break. And the way I get rid of this page break, put my cursor at the end of it, click backspace or delete or backspace, and there it's gone. All right. So once again, this is really important, ladies. If you're going to move like you're at the end of your chapter and you want to keep writing, but you want your new chapter to start on the next page, insert, and the pages command here, a page break. All right. And then start your new chapter. All right. So now I think I'm just about out of time here. So I'm going to quickly go through a couple of things. Now, I want to tell you something. If you say, I would really like a template, but I don't know how to make a template, I have good news for you. If you will go to my website, you can get a free template. And if you go to www.dragomir.group.com, this is the website. See these turquoise buttons up here? Writer's Life Hacks. If you click on that, it will sign you up for my newsletter, which comes out whenever I get around to it, which hopefully is supposed to be once a month. If you will do that, it will sign up. When you get your welcome email, it will have the template. All right? So, and if for some reason that didn't work for you, if you will email me, Rhonda@dragomirgroup.com, I will send you my template and you can use it for free. The other thing I want to tell you is if you never want to see King Calibri again, you just want him to go away, you want every document that you have to open up to Times New Roman 12. This is a long, very complicated document. That's why I'm not going into it. You have to reset your normal template. How many of you have ever clicked, make this my new normal? You know, and it doesn't work. You have to find this normal template, and it's buried. Microsoft buried it where you know, it's way out on Boot Hill. You are never going to find it unless you know what you're doing. This PDF I've published through Writer's Life Hacks will show you how to reset your normal template. All right, so you can do that. Say yeehaw, free. It's free. So
Yeehaw.
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 All right, ladies, I have a lot more of this presentation, and we are out of time. I want to leave some time for questions, so I'm going to stop right now. But I want to tell you this. Don't expect perfection. Just don't expect it. Ain't going to happen. It still happens to me. Sometimes I'll be typing along and all of a sudden I'm sitting on the ground in a pile of manure, and Word did that to me, all right? So sometimes the rattlesnake comes along and your horse just bolts. When that happens, just build yourself a campfire, enjoy the stars, wake up the next morning, start all over again, get yourself some sarsaparilla and say yeehaw, 1, 2, 3.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. I'm going to stop sharing now and just invite any of you, if you have questions, I can kind of talk you through some of them. Crystal told me we're supposed to end at noon, but if you want to hang around, if you need to go, that's okay with me. But if you want to hang around and ask me some particular questions, I can perhaps share my screen again and show you exactly where those commands are.
Rhonda, will you go ahead and put your website in the chat for folks to refer to that? For sure.
Yes, there it is, dragomirgroup.com. And that's where, that's my business website. It's not my writer website. I have a business where I offer services to writers, and those are described there on that website. But I really want to get back. I've been so focused on my novel. I really want to get back to sharing these tips, you know, in little kind of bite-sized tidbits in my newsletter.
Okay, so you stepped on my toes with the Office 365 thing. I work every day unrolling that package, so I am a subscriber.
Well, and for some people it may work, Karen, but if you have a choice, if you're starting out new and you have a choice, I really recommend getting it on your computer. The other thing I did not say about Microsoft 365, they push through updates, and this happened to me. I am telling you, this happened to me. I was in a rush. I had an invitation to submit a document. I went in, I opened my program. All the commands were in different places. I didn't recognize where I was anywhere. And what happened, Microsoft, if you're subscribed, they automatically push through updates.
Right.
Whether you wanted that update now or not, you got that update. And if they moved a command and you can't find it, there is just nothing more frustrating. And sometimes with my coworkers in the office where I worked, that's what had happened. These updates came through and they're like, where is, I don't know what I'm doing, you know, and you can get lost in a big hurry because you have no control. And I'm a control freak. I want to control.
We just have to be careful not to get too far behind where they are, because then all of a sudden you can find yourself in a pickle. But if you're a version or two behind and that's where you're comfortable, that's great. But I know for a fact that they're moving toward the cloud, and you're gonna have to be real diligent to continually tell it, no, I don't want it to save to my OneDrive. I want it to save to my local computer.
So there were a couple questions in the chat, so I'm just going to pull those up. Janet asked, I see Acrobat on your tabs. What is this?
Okay. Let me share my screen again. Hang on. It has Acrobat. Acrobat is for interfacing with PDF. Let me tell you something. Microsoft and Adobe, they do not like each other. They're like this two men that are fighting over the same ground. PDFs, what PDF is, it is a portable file document. It's meant for the internet. Most people cannot edit PDFs. So if you're putting anything, any kind of document online, like on your website or something, I recommend a PDF, because then people can't alter it or just kind of steal it. Now, if you're like me and you're an Adobe user, I have an Adobe Professional user, I can do that. I can edit PDFs. The PDFs are mainly for the internet, and they have become the standard. So even Word knows they lost that battle. Okay, the PDF battle belongs to Adobe. So this Acrobat, it will let me create a PDF. It will let me mark it up for review and stuff. That tab is there because I have Adobe Creative Cloud. That's why that tab is there. Okay. Are there any other questions as long as I'm here?
Christy had one. She had to leave, so I'm just going to tell her to watch the recording at the end. So she said, okay, here's something I've had a problem with lately. It is on the editing under review. It has to do with track changes. I could get back to the final without markup, but when I closed the doc and then opened it back up, it went right back to the tracking changes.
Okay.
I'm not sure what she means, but I hope you catch it.
Okay. I'm going to put this document down. This is my proposal. Okay. So I'm going to just come in down in here where there's some plain text. A lot of times with editors or critique groups, what you will do is under this review tab, you can select track changes. All right. So if I click on track changes, And I want to say religious differences are presented in a respectful way. I want to take that sentence out. If I did, I don't. But if I did, I highlighted it, I backspace, it's gone. But guess what? It puts out here this red line, which means there's an edit there. All right, and if I click on that edit, it shows me I eliminated that sentence. Okay, sometimes when you're working with an editor, they want to see those edits. All right, and that's how they do it. Now, what was your question in particular, Crystal?
I just read exactly what she said. It sounded like she closes the document, and then when she opens it back up, it went right back to the tracking changes. So
I think what she means, because I've had this problem too, where I got something back from an editor and I was trying to remove the markings, and you can click to final without showing the markups, but they're not really gone. You're just not viewing them right then. So it's really how to get them off permanently, I think, is what she wanted to know.
Okay, let me find something here real quickly and bring up a document that I know has, hang on, I've got to get to where it is. So here I'm going to open a chapter of my book that has this flyout, that has these suggestions. So here is one of my buddies, and her name is there. She'd be fine. So I used the word, he slathered cheese and honey on his scone, gulped it down, and swallowed a huge gulp of liquor. Well, gulp is in that sentence twice, and I didn't even notice it. So she says, maybe slugged, guzzled, quaffed, to replace gulped and keep from repeating it. So if I want to come over here, he slugged it down. I'm going to come in here. I'll just let you watch me do this. I'm going to change this to slugged. And now I want to get rid of this comment. Again, ladies, I'll tell you, right click is your friend. Right click, delete comment. That comment will never appear again. All right, it's just gone. And when you're done and you've deleted all the comments, this track changes or reviewing pane will also close. All right, so I'm going to go back again. So there, I just Control Z is undo. That's just my favorite command, undo. I changed it to slugged. I want to get rid of this comment. Hover my mouse over it, right click, delete comment. All right, that's also where you could reply to the comment if you're working back and forth with an editor. Okay.
I think there's also a feature of like accept changes. If it's not like a comment, it's just a change they've made. That might be something she's talking about too.
Right. All right. Now let me go back to this.
You do have to, you have to go through and save it. Once you've gone through and accepted changes or deleted the comments, you do have to save the document again. And a lot of times I'll save it as the current date or something to tell me this has been edited. So
okay, so here, let's say an editor made this change, which what Karen is talking about. See here on the review pane, it says accept. If I accept this change, accept and move to the next one, it will, well, there it is. All right, so now it says there aren't any track changes. So all I had to do was click accept, and that insertion or deletion or whatever was there in red is gone. Okay.
you can right click and do that too. Remember, it's your best friend.
You can, absolutely. So let me see if that works. So if I hover my mouse here, right click, accept deletion, there it goes. All right. Are there any other questions while we're here?
Penny, I can answer your question if you want to hang out with me for a minute or two after, but she asked, I cut and paste from Scrivener and move them to Word. There's actually a compile feature in Scrivener that will take it to Word so that it keeps your formatting. So I can help you with that.
Oh, that's a whole other level of easy formatting.
That would be great, but I also, part of my question is, if I have a document already written, how do I do the indents? I mean, how do I do it the way you did it?
Okay, let me show you something real quick. And, I have properly indented this submission. but, and see, it's no indentation on the first one.
Right.
Okay, if I wanted to take my whole document and make a change, if you hold down your control key and click A, wait a minute. Everything is highlighted in this document now, all right? Every single paragraph. Then if I go into my paragraph tab, and let's say I want to change that first line indentation to an inch for whatever reason. Maybe I've lost my mind that day, all right? And then I say, okay, there it went. It's all changed to an inch.
Even
Right.
your first paragraph of your chapter?
Thank you, Karen, because guess what? When it means all, it means all. And yeah,
Yeah.
there it went. Okay.
So then do I have to go back and do the first?
Yep.
Okay.
And but if you're working with a long document, I recommend that Control A command, and that was in the section of my PowerPoint I didn't get to, is keyboard shortcuts. The Control A highlights everything.
Okay.
How many of you have ever put your cursor somewhere? I'm going to do this. Put your cursor somewhere, and this is what you do.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Well, I use select all too.
Okay, you can, but it's so fast with Control A.
Right.
It's all done.
So I can get the indent, then the 1/2 inch indent on everything, but then have to go back and do the first
Now,
line of each.
right. And if you tabbed, you'll have to go back and take out all those tabs. But better you do it than your editor has to do it. Or
So,
God, your typesetter.
so if I
Well, and
start it at the 1/2 inch, will that not take out the tabs?
No.
So
Once
how
you put a tab in, you have to. Now, I will tell you this. I'm going to do something here, and I'll show you. Tab. I'm just tabbing these paragraphs, okay? And we're all messed up now. But I'm tabbing all this stuff. And on my paragraph, you see, there they are. Now, why didn't those tabs show up? I think I just landed in the manure. They should show up because they're still there. All right. That is the oddest thing. Anyway, what I want to tell you is you can do a find and over here, put in your tab and it will search the document for them. All right.
Okay.
Actually, I would use the replace. Find what? A tab, replace with nothing. Then you know, this isn't going to work for me right now because for some reason it just saw a rattlesnake. I don't know what the thing is, okay? But you can actually search. Sometimes I'm old school. I learned how to type in 7th grade, and I got to tell you girls, that was a long time ago. So I still double space sometimes after a period, you know, and standard is supposed to be a single space. That's another formatting tip. You can search a double space and replace it with a single space, and it goes zoom, okay? So sometimes that find command, you can find more than just words. You can find certain types of punctuation.
But how do you say find tab? I mean, do you?
You basically just do find and hit your tab. So you're not going to see anything. And then when you have replace, you don't put anything.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, cool.
I know it's kind of weird since you don't see anything, but
Right.
Word knows you're there.
Okay, well, it's 12:13. Do we have one more question? I will just say this to your group, and not to anybody who's, you know, watching this recording randomly. If you will email me, I'm going to stop my share here. If you will email me, and I'm going to put my email address here. If you have a real specific problem, you can email me and I'll try to help you fix it.
That's great.
As far as quick questions, Peggy wanted to know about immersive reader, and then Janet Grimes was a quick question. An editor mentioned to me that most novels don't have a table of contents. Has this been your experience?
Janet, yes, most novels don't have a table of contents. Now, if you saw my proposal, it had a table of contents. Okay, And this is an advanced word technique, but I'll tell you, if you do a table of contents, you actually insert a table. That's the only way to get everything lined up. If you try spaces and tabs to line it all up, you will be all over the place. So, you know, tables and learning how to use a table for a table of contents is real important. But that's only in your proposal that they expect that. And I don't know nothing about the other question.
Immersive Reader is a product of Microsoft, and they rolled it out last year or so. And what it does is it goes in and it'll read it'll pick up your content, and it's got some really great tools that will allow the reader to read it in their own language, to maybe if the reader has like a reading challenge and they only need to see one line at a time, you know, it's there, it highlights just one line at a time and you can move down the page. It shows parts of speech. It's really cool. I'm going to put a website on our right-hand panel here in our chat that you all can go out and see Immersive Reader in action. I am not sure how it works in terms of just normal writers and publish things, if you have to subscribe or any of that, I don't know. But check out this website. It's called wonderopolis.org, and it's actually a fun website if you've got kids, because it's got a curious question every day. It's a learning site, and you'll be able to click and see one Immersive Reader in action. But it's a lot of fun.
I have an old version of Word, so I don't think it has that, but I do have the word bubble that'll read to me. But that's all it does, is just read. It doesn't pinpoint things.
Well, Immersive Reader was designed to kind of break those boundaries or barriers of challenged readers, English as a second language readers, things like that.
I will say too to you, Peggy, depending on how old your version is, most editors now prefer the DocX version of Dragomir.
Yeah, I have that.
That didn't come around until after 2003. So if your Word version is older than 2003, it still produces only a .doc volume file. You need the .docx volume really to be submitted.
Yeah, I have that version, but I got a new laptop here just really recently, and I have the CD of Word, and it was kind of hard to get it loaded on this new one because it wanted me to buy a new product. But I got it on here, so
my big expensive
I'm still using it.
brand new horse of a machine with a gamer video card does not have a CD drive. You cannot.
Yeah, disappointed with that part.
So the great news is technology is new and expanding. The terrible news is technology is new and expanding. I mean, sometimes it's a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways.
Rhonda, what version of Word did you get, or Microsoft?
I am using 2019.
2019.
But I just finished on my old computer using 2016. It has all the features I need. And I tell you what, if you go out shopping for a new version and you price 2016, you'll save a lot of money.
Okay.
And it still does work.
Okay, guys. Thank you, Rhonda. This has been helpful. I did get a text from Betty that her husband has some pre-surgery testing next week. Yeah, next week. They don't have a surgery date, but we just need to be praying for their family. And I know she's also doing some household renovations in the midst of all this. So besides having to take care of her family, which she does well and as a priority, her house is in a little bit of turmoil. So anyway, we need to just be praying for that. Crystal, can I put you on the spot to close us in prayer?
Absolutely. And thank you, Rhonda, for presenting. That was awesome.
Yes.
All right. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for the fact that we are able to come together on Zoom and still meet and learn and grow together as writers. I pray that you would help us to take what Rhonda has presented to us and apply it so that we can write better for your glory, and be with us as we go throughout this next month to write with your inspiration, with your words, and to rely on you, and be with all the needs that we have going on, especially we know of Betty and her husband. Just put a healing hand on his body and be with the doctors and the surgeons, and help Betty to breathe easy and lean into you and to just trust you through this trial. We love you and we thank you so much for this blessing and for your glory and your honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay,